I was still working for the city when that came through. And it wasn't a big deal to me.
When did you get that call, or when did your agent or your manager let you know, like, hey, there's an audition for this show?
That was in New York. I was still working for the city when that came through. And it wasn't a big deal to me because, again, my foundation, I already had a foundation for Parks and Recreation. So for me at that point, everything that I'd done, and I talk about the Joan Rivers show and all those other things, they lasted and they were gone. They lasted and they were gone. And I said, well, that's the pattern. They're supposed to come and go so that I can keep my foundation with city because I love my city job. I was never trying to get rid of it. And I wasn't holding on just based on fear. I loved it. I loved it. That would have been considered my career. And so when all these other things came along, they were frivolous and they were fun and they made some money and they didn't make some money and they were gone. So I went, okay, I get it. That's how I'm calibrating my experience right now. That'll go and I'll have this. And I'm going to Disneyland, but I don't live there, essentially. And so when the audition for MADtv came up, to me, it was like, oh, I'm doing more of the same because by that time I was already doing improv. I was doing already sketch. I already done a pilot, the Apollo Comedy Hour, which is all sketch and improv. And I was already working. I'd already worked on a series called Uptown Comedy Club, which is improv and sketch. And so for me, this was another one of those things that'll come and go. So I can afford to have fun. I can afford to push the envelope because you'll love me for a little bit. And when it's over, it's going to be gone. Or if I don't book it, it's going to be gone anyway. So it was for me recognizing what I believed was the inevitable, which is to come and go. So let me have as much fun as possible. I'm going to show up and I'm going to show out. And that's what I did. But little did I know that in showing up and showing out, the network would end up going, she's the first one you want.
Right.
Because she's pushing it. She a little cray-cray and she's pushing it. But she's so committed and she's so passionate and she's so wild and she's everything we want the show to be. And they hired me.
Okay. And that was, you became the first person of that. Were you aware you were the first person?
Yes.
Okay.
The producers, I was working on a Spike Lee film back in New York. I was released to be able to do this audition, the final audition in front of network in California. So I was there for 1 day. I was told I had to be back in 2 days. So 1 day to go, 1 day to audition, back that same night, and the next day on location. So when they were waiting to take me to the airport, the two producers that had found me sat around and we were just sitting and stuff, and they had gotten me some food and was sitting in the production office. And they were like, you know what, we're not supposed to say anything. This is technically not what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to contact your representation and let them know. But you're sitting here and if we feel awkward, the network love you. They want you. They want you. The first one they want. So we're just letting you know that. So you're going to go back home and don't say a word and we'll let your representation know. So I knew at that point, even after my audition.
Did you, being kind of like going into it with the idea of if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Oh no, I had the idea that it wasn't going to work. I had the idea that I'm going to do the pilot. I'm going to be out here for a month. I'm going to have a great time again, Disneyland. So the park has to shut down. Because every time I'm going into Disneyland, the park shuts down at a certain time, even if I'm like there till midnight.
Right.
The park has to shut down. And I'm like, okay, right. Because when I go home, that's my foundation.
Right.
And so for me, I was overjoyed because it was like, this is the most money I've ever made. And I'm going to do this pilot. I'm going to have fun. And I'm going to be in a place I've always wanted, Hollywood. And not just Hollywood, but every movie that I've seen. Beverly Hills Cop was a huge, going from Detroit to LA was huge to watch Axel Foley do that. And it was like, wow. And at the same time, I also saw Eddie Murphy, because Eddie Murphy, New York, Saturday Night Live, one of the youngest cast members of his time, and black. Cause he was younger than, I can't think of his name. It's offhand. It's going to drive me crazy, and that's part of my age. Garrett Morris. Garrett Morris was older than Eddie Murphy was. So Eddie Murphy was the first young, black, like really young kid on the show. And I remember Saturday Night Live from the very beginning, and they're not so ready for primetime players. And they were all amazing, but it was weird and wonderful. And it was like SCTV, you know, and so there were no black people on it. And that was fine because everything was like experimental theater and I was used to experimental theater. So Saturday Night Live was in the original inception, it was mind blowing for me. And there was nothing to compare to. But by the time it kind of got its leg at footing and was starting to tell ethnic stories and things like that, and Eddie Murphy came on, it was a mind-blowing experience. And now to watch Eddie Murphy from Saturday Night Live to become this big movie star, to play Axel Foley in Beverly Hills Cop and then be in Beverly Hills and be in California, it was mind-blowing. And I was like, that's amazing. And I didn't realize how impressive that was. And there were certain things that were biblically epic for me in terms of letting me know this is where I'm going to be.
How would you describe MADtv looking back at it now? What was that show? What was, if you were over MADtv and this was your elevator pitch, what would it be?
Mad Magazine meets every parody you've ever seen of a celebrity. We turn it on its ear, we turn it upside down, and we make you laugh. If you love Mad Magazine, if you love the parodies in music, if you love the parodies in the commercials, if you love everything about the pop culture send-ups, we're going to do it 10 times bigger, pull it off the pages, and put it into a TV show. We're going to parody everything and nothing will be sacred.
This one on One Moment is presented by Hypers Club. Watch the full interview right now at hypersclub.com by becoming a member.